Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thanks for joining me today on the Moneybag 73 channel. I wanted to ask the question today, when do you think, or if ever, the mainstream will wake up to this incredible phenomenon known as the Mandela effect? I had a few comments on a comment that I had left on this video, "A Great Mystery is Being Withheld, the Frightening Truth." And it shows what I believe most people think who have heard about the Mandela effect, but don't ever look into it. So I wanted to show you that here today. I want to talk about Jordan Maxwell real quick. I studied the teachings of Jordan for about 15 years and opened my eyes to a whole different world. I was studying that maybe 8 years before I heard about the Mandela effect. And, just going over this here, you have the fish head hat here on the Pope, and then you have Hollywood, the wizards of the Druidic times. They would use the wand, the magic wand was made of a wood of a holly tree. So, just kind of some inside esoteric knowledge about Hollywood. And then you have the pine cone here underneath Jesus on the cross. There's a lot of information that I've learned from Jordan, and I'm not here to tell you all that stuff. You can look into Jordan Maxwell yourself. He recently passed away. And about a year ago, I think, Rachel Rienstra, who now is living in Sedona, who was in LA, she's had a show of her own, a nature show, and she's done a lot of Mandela effect stuff. Well, she took Jordan to LA and asked him about the Mandela effect, and he didn't seem to have much to say about it. My understanding was that he didn't really understand what she was trying to say to him. I mean, he was in his final year of life, he was nowhere near as sharp as he had been in things that I was studying and listening to him years ago. So I just don't feel that he understood the Mandela effect. So I wanted to show you something here. And you should check this out. I mean, this is some of Jordan's really good information that's been gathered here. But he was a wealth of information. Back in the 50s, he started trying to teach people about the hidden hand and how things were really being run here on the planet. So I had said I was disappointed when Rachel Rienstra asked Jordan about the Mandela effect, and he didn't seem very interested. I thought that he would be able to provide some incredible insight, but he didn't seem to understand it very well. The Mandela effect is the greatest magic trick man's ever seen. It's one of the biggest things ever happened in the history of humankind, but that's not the understanding of most people. See, most people haven't even heard about this incredible phenomenon. Please leave your comments down below. I really would like to have some interesting discussions going on down below. Most people haven't heard about it, and I would say most of the people who have heard about it are like these two gentlemen here, or this gentleman, Austin, and I believe this is a gentleman up here. I'm not sure. The Mandela effect is not a real phenomenon. Right off, it's either a lie or ignorance. A lot of people, they don't understand things because they're ignorant of them. They ignore them. That's the root of ignorance. They ignore a lot of stuff, and that's what's happening with the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect is not real. Well, there are really large groups of people with alternative memories to reality, whether you want to believe that J-Lo or not. Whether you want to acknowledge it, it doesn't matter if you acknowledge it. It's happening, it's real. How and why is the discussion, but as people with it's not real, it's ridiculous. People are saying there aren't large groups of people with alternative memories to reality. It's just absurd. It's a byproduct of people watching too much television and movies. I mean, that's an absolute joke to me. And I think to many of you listening to this right now, they believe everything that they've seen on TV and movies are real facts. For example, the Berenstain Bears is how it's spelled in the real world. But in the cartoon show, The Simpsons, they had an episode where they show a book of the Berenstain Bears, but instead it was spelled Berenstain Bears. It's a parody, and people who had watched this from childhood will think it's real. I didn't watch The Simpsons growing up. I mean, I'm not even going to try and get into this comment. I mean, you can see what it is, but this is what people will say to you. People will say, well, they'll talk about eyewitness testimony. Eyewitness testimony is not reliable. You don't interview two people together because they can influence one another. Blah, blah, blah. The Mandela effect is not about a car crash you saw the other night or a robbery. It's about lifelong memories that many people have had for 20, 30 years. There's a difference. And these people that come out with this rubbish, they just don't understand. They're ignorant of this incredible phenomenon. But anytime you hear confabulation, cognitive illusions, amnesia, dementia, early onset Alzheimer's, misattribution of memory, vascular cognitive impairment, all of those things are real and are happening, and people experience them, but they don't have anything to do with this incredible phenomenon. Those things are just ridiculous when you talk about millions of people having the same experiences that don't match reality for hundreds of things they knew most of their life. It doesn't compare to a car crash the other night. Anyway, let's go on to the next one. Mandela effect doesn't make a damn in the grand scheme of things. Why he wasn't interested. Okay, so that's why Jordan wasn't interested, because it doesn't matter. He's too busy trying to get real knowledge to you. Not that people swear a word used to be spelled different. So that's so funny, because the Mandela effect isn't even about spelling changes. I mean, that's just one little tiny part of it. But these people who have heard about the Mandela effect and how absurd it sounds will just go with something like this. I understand how crazy and absurd it is, but most people don't look into things. They really don't, and that's what we're seeing. Most people, they've heard about the Mandela. I wouldn't say that. A lot of people have heard about the Mandela effect, but they don't look into it. So you're on the wrong track, bud. Mandela effect literally is just a side effect of CERN 2012. Okay, let's just ignore the fact that Art Bell was discussing the Mandela effect in 2001 in multiple shows. We'll just go with CERN 2012 here. JM sharing, Jordan Maxwell's sharing real knowledge and why this place is so messed up. You're still playing checkers. Well, if this is your understanding of the Mandela effect, you're still playing tic-tac-toe, dude. Because the Mandela effect is heavier. I mean, it's as heavy or heavier than all the stuff that Jordan was ever talking about. And I can say that I studied Jordan Maxwell for 15 years. And he blew my mind. But the Mandela effect is so much more, but you won't know that unless you take down the blinders and, start looking around. Like, get out of your horse race and take off the blinders and start looking around, because Mandela effect's not going away. So my question today is, when and if ever will the mainstream wake up? I mean, we've had this resurgence because CERN relaunched on July 5th, and there's a whole new group of people saying, look, CERN just changed the Egyptian mask of King Tut with the, now there's a vulture there next to the cobra. Well, we were talking about that years ago. Chick-fil-A just lost a K, or just gained a K. We were talking about that 6 years ago. CERN didn't just do that. You may think it just did it for you, but if you do a little bit of research, you'll see people had noticed this 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. So, those people aren't doing any research. They're just seeing something, blowing their mind, and then they're just making a new TikTok. They're not doing any research. So I don't need to read my comments. I've kind of just went over my comments here. You can read them if you want. I'll leave them here for, you can pause it or whatever. I'll read this one. Another clueless comment about the Mandela effect. Do some research. The Mandela effect is affecting everything, from human anatomy to geography, the KJV Bible, famous works of art, and historical events. I mean, spelling changes? Is that all you got? I mean, come on, man. I mean, condemnation without investigation is a height of ignorance. There's that ignore again. It's being ignored. When's it going to stop being ignored? That's my question. Go create the reality that you want. I'll talk to everybody soon.